my gosh, I just jumped out of the lake. Um, Welcome to Wellness Wednesday. Uh, Wellness Wednesday with uplifting, positive, productive. It's so hot here. I don't know what the temperature is, but there's smoke from Ontario and smoke from the Colville Res, and it's a red alert with the air quality. So woohoo, we're still alive. So the nasals here, it's because I'm allergic to smoke, really cigarettes, secondhand smoke. But the past couple of days, and I was just told by my family that not to go outside because it's air qualities in the red, and as opposed to other colors. But I couldn't help it. It was just so warm in here. I decided to go and sing a calling song, and I just was rolling around in the water, looking at, I got a lot of geese. There's just a couple of loons, and there's butterflies and dragonflies, and the berries are ripe, ripening. So welcome to Wellness Wednesday. I want to give a big shout out to the IHS Browning Hospital. If Daisy or whoever is watching, or I want to give a shout out to Tribal Mental Health with Terrence Laframboy and that staff. I want to give a shout out to Vicky Auger, and all the programs that they're helping with the domestic violence. This is just where I live, because when I go to town, it's kind of interesting. People tell me that they watch Wellness Wednesday, and I just want to give a shout out to you. Thank you for trying to make your life better, trying to make your work better, trying to make your family better. Thank you for watching, and thank you for, doing self-care, and thank you for taking care of us. And welcome to Wellness Wednesday, Native Wellness Institute. We've been in existence since the 80s, formerly a 501c3 since 2000, 26 years. We're an NGO. You can go to our website, www.nativewellness.com, and you can request anything, and we'll try to do it. but you can't request any form of violence. Hey, you can't say, would you help me? My exes won't give me my alimony. And woo, we go over there and get the alimony. You can't request us to go and do something to, some political party. Whoa, we'll go over. You can't make anything that falls under the umbrella of keeping the teachings of the ancestors alive. So, some of you that carry, a chip on your shoulder or a grudge, you don't like some family or the way someone looked at you during Indian days, They go, yeah, they were side-eyeing me at Indian days, because Indians, they don't look directly at you, but they watch everything you do. Woo, I watched one of my two spirit brothers in East Glacier, because there's all these non-natives, all buffed and muscular, jogging. So they're jogging by and their shirts off. So I caught my two-spirit relative, just his eyes just glued on that body and the pecs and and the muscles along the, six-pack, and it was just like glaring. And he didn't catch me because I'm quicker. But it was just like watching him run down the whole block. Have you ever watched? Indians will stare, because damn, they're nosy. Damn, Indians are nosy. They will stare, but when you catch them staring side-eye, and looking too long at something, right? It's just so crazy. I laugh because they will stare hard, they'll stare hard if you got moccasins on, they'll look at they'll size up how old those moccasins are, what size cut beads on those moccasins. They'll even know who beaded them. They'll even know who cut them. And they'll also size them up if they're high tops and you didn't quite make it right. You made it all the way up to your hips. Or you thought you were taller and you're actually short. You're high tops. Just like anyway, it is just look at stuff and size it up. I just love that. I was up at Kainai Indian Days. Ooh, that was the best. But boy, it was challenging because, my mom, she'll be 88 pretty soon, and she goes, I want to go up to Kainai because she really likes it up there. She likes when we go up there, and she likes the kami poismanix, the stand-up headdress. She likes how all the elders are treated, and boy, did they treat us well. Woohoo! Thank you. And of course, she decided she's gonna drive herself in her flaming fire red truck, her Ford. But I convinced her. I said, Mom, it's so hot. Let's get a room in Cardston with some air conditioning. And, we can, there's a hot tub. It's nice air conditioning. And then, when we get dressed, we'll go over. Grand entry's at 1. We can go over. We'll be all cooled off. I went and got her favorite Chinese food at Ming's. I mean, like, Mom likes war wonton. She likes garlic ribs, spare ribs, and she likes lemon chicken, and she likes hot tea. She's not a pot. Anyway, I got all her favorite things. She will drink a root beer, so I had to go up to the store up there and get root beer and it has to have ice, Anyway, I got everything she needed, and then we could just go to the powwow and be all refreshed. And boy, we were refreshed, but everybody looked like you need to dip them in some cold water. Hey, they were like waking up at camp, kind of, I don't know, some of them, even one just had one eyelash on and the other one was stuck up here. And then her eyelashes fell off and they were down here, so it looked like she had a mustache. That's a rough go. When your eyelashes fall off, or when your eyelashes fall off and someone thinks it's like a toothbrush, they so long. A black toothbrush. Anyway, they were looking somehow like that. The third day of Kainai, it's really hot. It's an outdoor powwow. Woohoo! And looking greasy. And you can see some people walking around camp going, they're sniffing their underarms and going, whoo! Or some, they're trying to walk upwind or downwind because they see someone coming. When you see a real odorous Indian. No, well, Indians don't stink. It's those other non-natives. They really stink. They say, even the spirits say they stink. No. Indians. Anyway, you see someone that was odorous coming. Do you bite the bullet and go and shake their hand and say, Oki, Sinatapi? Or do you walk the other way, up or downwind? Anyway, we were all refreshed and I wanted to get chairs and we drove up to Kainai. Man, we got the red pickup, we got War Pony. And I just told them, because they said, elders need to ask for help. So I said, well, my mom is turning 88 and I'm 70. And where can we park where we don't have to drag our chairs through whatever, Anyway, they just took us and even one of the young gentlemen. And so thank you. He walked in front of the truck and walked and showed us how we could park. He moved some of the barriers so that we could park Mom's truck and War Pony. And then they wanted to know if you needed any help. But anyway, and then when we got there, we were a little bit, it was early, 11:20, whatever a.m. And we ran into some other people. We said, where do the elders get to sit? Boy, there was police officers and people, just telling us where we could put our chairs. And that's, I guess, what's today's topic? Today's topic is, how do you take care of yourself in summer? How does your family take care of themselves in the summer? Going to your Sundance and your Ocons and your Indian days and your golf tournaments and more Indian days. Now there's Indian days everywhere. Indian days, Milk River Indian days. There's Heart Butte Indian days, Kainai Indian days. And then there was North American Indian days. I mean, all you have to do is show up and be an Indian, or you could show up with a camera this long, like 2 feet long, and you're not an Indian. I mean, except if you're Walter Lamar. A big old lens. And then you're just all in people's face, just like trying to get, the glistening of their fry bread as they slurp it, A really good shot, an Indian slurping, that fry bread. Ooh, with some beans. Ooh, with some, that hamburger cooked and sliced onions and tomatoes. And then you just, and then you get these white people anyway, they got these big old cameras. Next thing, you're just going to take a bite of your raw kidney, bloody with salt on it. And there's someone taking a photo because you're authentic, hey? Ooh, there's another authentic one. Look at it. Take a picture of that authentic, not that fake ass pretend Indian. There's an authentic one. Look at, they're just greasy and smelly. Hey, and their braids. They got some braids. They're not bald-headed. You are mixed with European blood if you're bald-headed. Hey, oops. I don't want to go there because I have some really good friends that they don't have much hair. Anywhere. They got hair nowhere. Just pitiful. Jeez. Okay, so taking care of yourself in the summer, but I tell you, I'm just in a very good mood. In Canada, they have Perrier, ginger. Ooh, this stuff is good. I remember one story because part of taking care of yourself in the summer is some funny ASS stories. So one time, and this has to do with some of, my most cherished moments with Bruce Wolfchild, May Tallow, and many of the other elders. I was always invited. I've been back home. I was born and raised in Heart Butte, 1956. I'm a recovering urban Indian, but I've been back home for quite a while. I would always be called to do workshops, and I was working with June Tatsy at Tribal Health. I was one of her contracts, and they wanted to know how we were handling our health at Scott Pipikani. And I remember it was, when PowerPoints, we didn't know that death by PowerPoint doesn't work with Indians. But this funny, okay, so the story is I got invited up to Lethbridge. And it's that one hotel that always changes its name, and it's got the slide where you can come down into the water. And so anyway, it was like, I know May Tallow was there, and there was a bunch of our grandmas. And my computer, something happened. So it was one of those times where you say, you ain't going to show them nothing, like one of the things that we were going to talk about, because I had a slide about income of Blackfoot people. Like how much money income per family per year. And one of the things that June Tatsy and we found out is that we were so new to cash economy in the 1960s. Like, get this. This is like, woohoo! It blows my mind. In the 1960s on the Blackfeet Reservation, the average family lived on $912 a year. I'm going to say that again. $912 a year, the average family on the Blackfeet Reservation in the 1960s. And that's when I was born. But what that says, and you could go to Alaska, you can go to other rural places, is that they lived off the land. They lived off grid. Eh? They were off grid. They lived off the land, and there was no need for cash or Venmo or all that bull where you're trying to hustle. Hustling. Don't be Venmo hustling all the time. Let's say, what is her occupation? She's a Venmo hustler. He's a Venmo. Anyway, Cash App. Come on. Anyway, so the story I want to share with you, I guess it's just tickling because I prefer to laugh because it is your birthright to thrive and to live joy. And I tell you, I am till the day I take my last breath. It's my birthright to thrive and to live joy. So the story, okay, so here, and it has to do with Blackfoot women humor, but it also has to do with respect. Cause Bruce Wolfchild was the only man in the room. And we were talking about how do you take care of your mind, your body, your spirit, and your cultural ways. Anyway, it got to the point where we were just talking about, how identity, it came up, cultural identity. But then Bruce had to go out of the room. And, someone, because he was just such a beautiful man. A lot of people called upon him, but someone called anyway. He left the room, so it's just these old Blackfeet, and they were, I would say, it was more than 20 years ago. So I would say the average, they were like 60-ish, eh? So then when he left the room, and of course, I teach with humor, so I said, hey, okay, in this room right now, how many full bloods we got? How many full bloods in the room? And then I started teasing. I said, like, cause full blood women, they don't have very much pubic hair, eh? And, and it's women, it's women. And I know we're on a public, but this is the clean humor. So I said, cause like average, and I was teasing. I said the average full blood Blackfoot woman might have 3 pubic hairs, 3. And maybe nothing under the arm, and might have thick hair on the head. Anyway, it was just funny. So anyway, they got it, and one of the grandmas, she raised her hand, and and so I, here I am, humor. So always when a grandma raises her hand, you better just stop and see what she wants. And so she raised her hand, and she goes, I have 4 pubic hairs. She had 4. So anyway, we got into this humor, and we started talking about the health of, when you're a grandma, do you still go get your pap and pelvic? Do you still get a breast exam? We got to talk all this feminine wellness, and then when Bruce we didn't have to talk about testicles, or nothing like, we didn't have to talk about, all the men, the testosterone that doesn't go away, even when you're old and you can't move, that testosterone makes you do some wicked ass crazy stuff. Oh, Grandpa with a walker, still trying to testosterone around. Okay, Grandpa, knock it off. Knock it off. Anyway, that testosterone is there, and not, estrogen isn't always there with the female. So there's different kinds of wellness. So how's your estrogen? How is your testosterone? Because I've been noticing lately, some Indian women they'll look at, and it might be patriarchy. They'll say, that sounds like a testosterone made that decision, not the human being. So anyway, when Bruce Wolfchild came back in the room, then we all switched back. But Maytella was in the back of the room, and she always used, she'd make like hand signals, and she would making all these hand signals to me, like keep the humor rolling. And anyway, it was just so that was one story, because I come to you. Welcome to Wellness Wednesday, Native Wellness Institute. I'm just going to share stories with you, and I'm just, I'm being myself. I got my bathing suit on. I put some of my pajama tops on, kind of a little bit shaggy. Ooh, I like to be shaggy because today's a work day, but I'm just online, and it's not. I'm not like have to go out and be in a hotel and come in all prim and proper. I guess this is me. When you have to be prim and proper, or you have to get all your work clothes, because we were raised by a mom. You had to get your work clothes ready on Sunday. You had to iron all those clothes. They had to be ironed perfect, and they had to be ready with what you're going to wear, because you just wake up quick, the alarm goes off, and you take a shower or bathe, or you jump in those clothes and you're off to work, right? Is that your summer? That's how we work, right? Because dang, we gotta get that paycheck. That paycheck is important, and paychecks, because there, other human humor. I always remember some of our cowgirls and their cowboys, and they probably still have that term. They have some husbands that just lay on the couch, eh? So she has to get a good job, eh? So she can pay for that dually. Anyway, I'll stop there, because next time you see me, you'll be saying, So, summer months, how do we keep ourselves thriving and enjoy? And so, I know there are rules, huh? When you're a cowgirl and when you're a cowboy, there are some rules. But so let's just I don't know. I'm just like feeling joyful today. I wish you were here. We could all go for a walk, because yesterday, and I think some of my joy is because I've been waiting. All of our relatives right here have been waiting, because everything's off season, and we've been waiting for the berries to pop. We call them pop, when they're green. We have they call them Saskatoon, in Canada. They call them, in the Dakotas, they call them Juneberry, and kind of going over even towards Colville, they'll call them, but we call them Savis berries, or service berries. But that berry, in all the ceremonies, we've been waiting for to pop. We've been waiting, because they were green. They were almost like green, like this berry. They were green, and then they get a little hue. There'd be like a little pink and a little red. And then it would get hot, then it would rain, get hot, and they just wouldn't pop. And pop means when they have popped, and they're delicious, and you can pick your first berry. Your first berry. So yesterday morning was that time on the west side of Lower Lakes Inside where I live, and probably around, around this lake area. And it's not like you guys can't come here and pick berries. Hey, there's all kinds of place else. There's some grizzly bears right over there. Go pick the berries there. You try to pick them berries with them grizzly bears, good luck. Because there's a grizzly bear den right up here. Anyway, so back to, okay, I don't know why I'm just being silly because I like to. Anyway, so that first berry, I when I get up in the morning, I go outside, I go to the bathroom and I go outside and I like to put out some tobacco or walk around. But I was still sleepy-eyed because I wake up really slow. I don't drink coffee anymore. And I thought about it the other day. I don't think I'm going to go back because I'm doing my annual checkup. And the doctor said it's good I don't drink coffee. It's okay for one cup, but anyway. So I was going up the driveway. Oh, and then I said, I got excited. And this is like Indian excitement. I go, oh, look at the color. Ooh, because it had turned to a blue purple. There was a couple of berries, a blue purple. And then, so I went and unhooked the gate because I was gonna head into town. War Pony might have picked up a nail on one of the tires. Anyway, I'm going up the driveway, and I spot this is Indian, and it's an energy. You can see it with your eyes, but when Indians that gather. Whoa, I just zeroed in and I go, wow. And so I started walking and I started surveying the bushes, the berry bushes right there. And I was surveying and I said, ooh, there's a couple there. They popped. These berries have popped. So I went and I was looking and there was one, because that first berry, Nitsitapi, whatever tribe you are, there's protocols and there's cultural nuances about berries. So you really have to follow it. And you won't get ate up by a grizzly bear or hit by a buffalo. Hey, if that old grandpa had done his protocol, he would have got lifted up in the air like that, for free. Anyway, so I saw the berry. And then, it's the time, it's the seriousness, because very serious, that first berry. So I was looking, kind of, and I didn't touch yet. And I saw 2 or 3 that looked voluptuously popped. Like the inside of that berry is going to taste good. So I took one berry, and when you pick it, see, this is the beauty of being an Indian. Is you pray with it, but for some reason I was praying a long time, because first of all, the coyote, the black bear, the boxique, or you take that berry and you pray for them because we are so close to them. They are us. There's not a difference between us and the bear. Our energies are the same. Our love is the same. Our fierceness is the same. And our gentleness with our babies and our children are the same. So I took this berry and, prayed that, because there's a whole bunch of tourists, and I don't want to get on tourists anymore. Thank you, tourists, for coming and spending your money. Spend a whole bunch of money and then get the hell out of here. Anyway, so the berry, I started praying, because I've had this skittish boxique, and anyway, praying for the boxique. My mom and my sister always render, if we do from Fish and Wildlife, get the bear fat. It has a lot of healing properties. So I was praying that the bears have a good summer and that they don't get in any get hurt that they enjoy, that they actually, I was praying that they get to swim in the lake, just like I did. I was thinking, because there's this one place the bears like to get in down here and go for a swim. And I was praying that these bears don't get into any trouble with the human beings. And I was praying that the human beings have respect for these bears. You know, even when they're taking the pictures, so you start to pray, you know, Kiao, Io Strabatapi, Hio Nina, Hio Napi Natusi. Nogaki Mokit, Nagaspomokit, pity me as I pick these berries, and then I had this thought. So this is just the thought while I was praying with this first berry, is that this is for the bears, and this is for ceremony. This is not, and that's what it's for. So I was having this thought. So I was praying for greater understanding of the medicine of this berry, how important this berry is. And praying, you know, then you know, praying Ios Tabatapi, you know, praying for the Ixcanaks who are at Circle Camp right now, praying for Buster Yellow Kidney camp that is still that Sundance, praying for the Kainai Indian. You know, it was like all of the local celebrations. Then I went out praying for the canoe journey in the coast, praying for the Wampanoag, praying for the Longhouse, praying for the Native American church, and, you know, just praying for however indigenous, however their ceremonies, you know, whatever their night lodges that are going on, whatever you weepy, whatever is going on, or just that everything goes good with this berry. So as you can see, I'm just, so when you pray with this berry, and this is the summer wellness, when you pray with it, then you dig a little hole and succumb the dirt, and you put that berry in there, and then the earth takes your prayers. The earth takes your prayers. You don't eat it. Then after that, you can eat some of the berries. But I had this berry and I thought, dang, I want to put it somewhere special. So I walked over where my brother Ira, Sinapa Yellow Paint Buffalo, my brother used to have his sweat lodge, and some of his rocks were there, and it was near, and I was looking like for a real special, you know, because it's good, the black dirt, you know, so I was digging in there, and then I decided I digged in there, and I put the berry, and I put the black dirt over, and then I put a little rock on top, one of the part of the sweat rocks. And I thought, oh, you know, and that part of your wellness is, no matter what you're going to do, you know, go get sage, go get licorice root, go get, you know, the miniguppy. Oh, yeah! Woo-hoo! The miniguppy just popped. And I just call it popped. I went for a walk, and I guess my mask was like this, you know. I went for a walk, and that's probably why I feel nasal right now. But the miniguppy has popped when you're heading towards where like Joe Fisher played. You know, I'm just telling everybody because, you know, you got to go find out where there's certain places between going to the lake and the miniguppy has popped. And miniguppy, oh, that has all kinds of, and if any of you Northern Cheyennes, they use it for love medicine. A lot of the Lakota, Dakota, Nakota, they use it for all kinds of stuff. But one of the properties that we use it for, miniguppy, is it's like powerful to heal your lungs. I'm gonna go right after we're done here. I'm gonna eat some, and I bet you it will help with this smoke because it helps with your respiratory. Like when you're getting sick, especially in winter, you dry it upside down. You know, you go pray, put your pastasca on, your tobacco out, and really, really talk to that miniguppy. Means bachelor, eh? Then that miniguppy, when and take 3 or 4 of the dried flowers, and, you know, and make You can make like I don't know, a couple pints grow, and then you should always put some other medicine in there because you need to have 2, 4. But if you drink it and it makes you, it flushes out. Like if you're getting sick, it'll flush it out. It almost like cause like a little fever, and you'll get well. You get well overnight with that Miniguppy. So anyway, the Miniguppy summer wellness. What I'm sharing with you. Welcome to Wellness Wednesday, Native Wellness Institute. All of us in our team right now, because I know like Debbie and Wade, and of course my sister Lori, and I think Jeline was just at Belknap, or Casey and Shailene were at Fort Peck. Lori, that we're just all over, but all tribes are gathering their medicine right now. And so, you don't have to gather all 10 or 15 medicines unless that's you. But as you go, concentrate on doing it, the protocol, like with that berry. Now, so anyway, I called up my family and I said, the rest of them will probably pop, so they got a plan, I called, so that they can come and harvest, but you don't overpick, you don't act like a Hutterite. Hutterites come in like, and take them all. Hutterite berries, you better watch out. Those Hutterite berries, when you're greedy, when you are freaking greedy, the medicine don't work. It's just Japanese humor. When you're freaking greedy, the medicine don't work. So if you come in like Hutterites, that's not what you do. You pick an area, then you move. You pick in an area, then you move. So you leave some for Kyo and for Boxikwe, right? And that, remember, there are brothers in a way, there are sisters, and the bears need to feast on those berries in order to get ready for the big sleep. And that's why we need to help them. Not be taking, you could take a picture, but it's not about taking pictures. That ain't culturally going to help you know how, unless you're trying to, well, no, I shouldn't say those absolutes, because I love taking pictures. Anyway, and I love Walter Lamar's pictures. Walter, you are good. Anyway, so that first berry and what you're gathering, the Miniguppy, and the Miniguppy, it's really good to get, just some, and, in the 4 areas of your house or inside or where you cook, because it really helps you, where you prepare food. It brings goodness, energy to that kitchen area, to hang it there. Hang it over your bed, so that you have good, it just has so many properties of protection. And it does have, I tell you it does, because I got that first berry yesterday, and last night I was just like chilling out, and it was still a little bit light, about 9 p.m. And what happens? I look right out the sliding glass door, and there's that skittish bear. But I just didn't move. And you know what? I just let it go on. I saw it. It looked around, it didn't look in here, and it went down towards the water. And I just let it be. And that's, that's how it is for right now, because now, as soon as I tell my brother, they were saying, always fire some shots. And I just didn't feel like that yesterday. Yesterday, I was watching the beaver swim by. I saw the geese, their babies had grown up. I just didn't feel like firing a couple shots. So I just said, Creator, just let him go on, and he did. He didn't even go on the deck. He didn't mess with anything. But that also tells me now I'm not going to refill the hummingbird feeders right here. I'm not going to leave any kind of puppy puppy chow is what the pet skunks like, or I'm not going to leave anything that smells, because a grizzly bear can smell a tablespoon of peanut butter, they say 3 miles away. And if it's commodity peanut butter, 5 miles away. If it's commodity cheese, a grizzly bear can smell it 10 miles away. Anyway, so that means, and I got to be extra cautious. I can't like go, because I don't have my cat, my dogs, my Karelian bear dogs anymore. I don't have Ocon iron pipe. And when you get older, it takes 15 years. You got a 15-year commitment when you have a dog. And anyway, I travel too much right now, and I just have a freedom, so I don't have a dog. As I'm sharing this summer wellness of what you go and gather, it's the time to gather. I've been, the sage, everyone's looking for sage, and now there is sage up. You just have to take the time, and there's protocols, dress together. Not like you're going out to the club. You don't have to have cleavage and eyelashes to gather medicine. It's okay if you do, though. I don't want to get on those eyelashes. But if a bird can land on your eyelashes, they be long. Do you need... Anyway, so the protocol. So dress, you might have your favorite gathering dress. And, for the men, men, you can talk to men how you should dress. I always think about that. Well, why did they all look like a cowboy when we're Indians? No, anyway. So you should wear something, and always, like maybe wear your Niskum necklace, maybe, have your medicine pouch, have, go, when you go out, and make sure you smudge off, clean off. It's good to clean off in the water before you go gather medicine. That's some of the summer wellness. And, and if you're only getting your medicine at the, the trading post, that's okay too, because sometimes, I was just trying to think, where would you gather medicine downtown San Francisco? Because I'm flying to downtown San Francisco, or by the airport, this coming week, because I'll be working with Dwight, and I are going to Shingle Springs. We're going to do a Gona up there. So I was just thinking, but in San Francisco, in Oakland, in Denver, in Seattle, wherever there isn't just medicine growing all over. I do remember, I contracted with Seattle Indian Health Board for a long, long time, and they just opened their new treatment program, Thunderbird Treatment. Used to work there all the time before it moved out to where it is. But they were growing stuff on top of the roof in the city. So you can grow, apartment, you can grow stuff. And then in Oakland, at the Intertribal Friendship House, they have a community garden right outside Intertribal Friendship House. And Jan Glow's mom. I mean, there's many more. I don't know all the names, but they grow their own sweetgrass. And they harvest, and they give out sweetgrass to everyone. So you might grow, and I was just talking with my little niece and nephew. They just found an area of sweetgrass, and we were talking about, because they wanted to know, protocols of braiding sweetgrass and, and rendering it from the earth. And so we had a long talk about that, so in that protocol where you go out in a good mind and gather. And so what else do you do during the summer for wellness? What else does your family like to do? I mean, because if you have grandchildren, they like to be in the water. It's okay just to come and picnic out in the shade and stay in the water all day. as I was walking around in the lake out there, I was just saying, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. That this is, that this is where I live, and this is, and I don't have to go, anywhere else to feel good. When I want to go on vacation, I stay home. Anyway, so welcome to Wellness Wednesday. Native Wellness Institute, we want to invite you. We are all getting prepared and excited for the 5th annual Healing Together in Milwaukee. The main host is the American Indian Cancer Foundation, and they Coco, Lori, and all of their team is and Native Dads Network, White Bison, NAFA, Native Wellness. All of us are together planning this healing together. It started 5 years ago with these organizations not wanting to compete with each other. And see, that's a whole different concept where we're the best or we're competing. And we're learning so much by adapting and growing together with coordinating. And coordinating means not only that you give some of your budget, it means that you decide what would be the best workshops to give. We have the Healing Village. Ooh, the Healing Village is going to be good this year. They have like sound therapy, Reiki, body massage, talking circles. It's going to be, I'm just going like this because you can go as many times as you want. You can sign up. I remember last year, Clayton Small, they were like fixing us up, sound and massaging us. And I would look over and I go, Clayton, isn't this your 5th session? He goes, yeah, and I might come again to have a 6th. We were just laughing away, Dr. Clayton Small. Anyway, Clayton and I have worked together for too many years, and we're still alive, eh? We got some titanium in this. Clayton. So, Native Wellness Institute, we're inviting you to come to a healing together or come to one of the events, because I really like that Native Dads Network is going to be doing Boys with Braids at Milwaukee. I really, White Bison, I always think about their daughters of tradition, their sons of tradition. And one of their best trainings is the Warrior Down, when helping our people when they get out of prison or jail to start to reconstruct their life in wellbriety, wellness and sobriety together. And, and Al Pooley's group, they just have such a good uplifting curriculum for supporting your whole family. It's almost like, positive parenting. Our executive director, Jolene Joseph, I think she started training when she was about 19, but Jolene was one of the best trainers of positive parenting curriculum. And well, she's just a primo master trainer, that Jolene. But not competing and coordinating. The only person you got to compete with is your younger self. Your younger self, like when maybe you had character defects or you weren't doing it so in a good way, life was still unmanageable. Okay, so that's who you compete with. But to compete is, for sport or, stick game or, for some kinds of things, those are cultural competitions. They used to settle disputes. We still have at Heart Butte, we still have the Crazy Dog versus the Veterans. But they used to settle disputes with a, stick game. think about that. There's other ways. I remember Tom Tailfeathers saying on, the South Side, there was a forgiveness ceremony. So maybe think about this. And because it's one of the things that you can help with elders is he called it the peppermint tea forgiveness ceremony. And, when Tom was alive, and he was one of those remarkable individuals who had type 2 diabetes for decades, and he managed it. But this forgiveness ceremony, it was at a gathering of Native Americans, and Tom, the elders said that a lot of on this reservation and other places, we needed forgiveness ceremonies because what was breaking us apart was holding grudges and resentments. And so he talked about, and I'll just summarize it to a short story. He said if there was families like, the Slickfoot, on the South Side, or there was families where if they were having a dispute, whatever the dispute was that was hurting the community, then one of the leaders, and it might have been, a clan, Lone Eater clan, Black Door clan, and the leader, and if they had a responsibility to dissolve that dispute, and one was with a peppermint tea forgiveness ceremony. And he described, if you've seen someone, because they didn't have iPhones and social media, they didn't even have phones back then. They would I guess they used to have signals, like if there was alarm, if you heard 4 gunshots, that mean come help. They used to have those kind of signals. They used to have signals of sound. Anyway, so if you saw someone come into your place and they were bringing what looked like a container of hot peppermint tea, you were supposed to get out your 2 cups between these 2 leaders. And when they entered into your house, they brought that hot peppermint tea, and there could be some dialogue, some apologies. Just remember, to make amends or to say I'm sorry is one of the greatest gifts that you could do for yourself and others. If they would have apologies, they would have a talk where they agree to disagree, but to dissolve that resentment, to dissolve that badness, to dissolve that. And when that person, that leader, took the hot peppermint tea and poured it gently into both cups, and when you raised, I don't know if you raised, but when you both drank that hot tea, it was not to be brought up again. It was resolved, and you started new. And it was a rebirthing of your relationship, a rebirthing of those 2 families. So Tom Tailfeathers, and now pepper, you can go wherever. There's a lot of peppermint on the South Side. There's some in Browning. Sonny was always, I don't know if Sonny's been selling peppermint. I haven't seen him walking around. He usually would get the peppermint. But go out and get your own peppermint. Get your tobacco. Get your Pistascon. Go get your wild peppermint. And you could have forgiveness with others and forgiveness with yourself. That's why elders, what you could give them is fresh peppermint tea. Fresh, that is, just think about, that makes me, I'm going to go get some Miniguppy right now. I'm going to go back down there and I'm going to eat some, because this the air quality isn't the best. And I'll just, as usual, I just kind of like to walk you outside a little bit, because it looks hazy. And I could, you want to take a look see the haze? There's almost like a color. There's the osprey eagle. Even the osprey. It's probably gonna look through the haze. There's my new umbrella that Ona Mab Plume gave to me. They were home to renew their vows. But look at this haze. Ooh, look to the north. In the north, it almost, yeah, it's a haze. That's smoke. So say prayers for Ontario. They said there's 200 wildfires going in Ontario. And then that's that way. And then this way, we've just had on the Colville Reservation, you can just see the color of the sky. On the Colville Reservation, thank you, Dan Nanemsk, and, we're saying prayers because his dad's place and their ceremony had burnt. People had lost their homes. Deb O'Rero said a lot of people have lost everything. It has burnt up. So say prayers because, there's this smoke. And we're not done with the summer, and we're not done with climate change. Have your preparation. The reason I was saying I'm so thankful, like if everything got lost, I could jump in the lake, right? 20 years ago, we had 30,000 acres burned in this area. Started at a campfire, but 30,000 acres burned. And I just remember we had to be evacuated. And we didn't know if my house burnt down. But and now it's just replenishing. I love going because the trees have replenished and it looks like a green carpet when you drive over Divide Mountain. But climate change is here. Clear water, beautiful clear water, the snow, the seasons, they're changing. So get with it. What did your ancestors teach you about taking care of yourself in the 4 seasons? The ceremonies at the full moon, the new moon, the equinox, the solstice, we know all that. We're doing that. But the summer months, taking care of yourself. Welcome to Wellness Wednesday. We just want you to be good with your family. Don't eat that lettuce, though. They were saying, is it okay to eat the lettuce at Taco Bell? I don't eat at Taco Bell anyway. But fast food, nope. But is it a time to just bring some time together? Put out a blanket and lay on the grass with your grandchildren. Put out a blanket and sit at the powwow and just visit. I liked when Alvine Mountain Horse just came and sat with me, and she always talks about Narcissus, her husband. Narcissus blood helped us so much here. Narcissus has been gone February 2015, but we still follow some of what he taught us. Narcissus blood, eh? And it was always with humor because he was always laughing. I think about all my mentors and the people I look up to. My Uncle Gerald, my mom, my Aunt Carol. My mom even had a dream when we were in Cardston that her Aunt Carol was laying next to her in bed. There must have been a time of comfort. But that's as you get older, you're closer to the spirit world. Mom has all these dreams, and but for her sister, and I always think about when they went to boarding school, how she took care of Aunt Carol when she came. She wouldn't quit crying, so she took some of the sheets and she ripped off strips and she made her a doll out of the sheets at boarding school to comfort her. So it's summertime. It's a time of comfort. So just do the most comfort. If you have to make potato salad, if you have to roast some red wieners, If you have to cook a ribeye steak outside, do it. If you have to go and dance and, dance for the people, do it. If you have to go and have forgiveness with someone, go and apologize, start over, start refresh, start new. So the summer months, so welcome to Wellness Wednesday. We come here every week. We came to you all during COVID, and we're still coming to you now because we still need wellness. Ooh, look at that. There's a butterfly on I have my Blackfeet flag out here. It's all the boats that go by, but look at he flew away on the Blackfeet Nation Piikani. That's my brother Ira's veteran flag. He said, here, you could, so I always take it with me. I gotta take it down and take it to California with me because I always put it up with my Siksikatepi flag too, the Blackfoot Confederacy, Siksikai, Kainai, Batsa Piikani, Namskapi Piikani. So welcome to Native Wellness. We'll be here every Wednesday. Oh yeah, for an hour. Yeah, I just be visiting with you, walking around visiting with you. But I just want to say, I hope our intention is we hope you were uplifted. We hope you had good thoughts about how you're going to take care of yourself for your recovery, your sobriety. We hope you had good thoughts about having forgiveness. Forgive yourself. Forgive others. Get with it. Anyway, until next Wednesday, Kitsikako Mim. For some reason, I hold you all, my hand to my heart. And all those who were sacrificing, the Sundance, all those that were at the Circle Camp, I hold you to my heart. All those at Siksikai getting ready, I hold you in my heart. At Kainai, hold you in my heart. At Brockett, Batsa Piikani, I hold you in my heart. So we'll see you next Wednesday, and if you see me, come up and give me a hug. I need some hugs. Hugs are free. Free hugs. So see you next Wednesday. Kita kito matsuno.